telling all of their Obama cronies, if you see any fishy emails, report it to us. Well, buddy, I got news for the Obama people. This is still not a Nazi police state. Not yet. This is still America, the land of the free. And we'll be damned if we're going to allow you to take away our most sacred birthright, which is freedom. Let's take one more quick call. Let's go to Eve in Sacramento. Eve, welcome to the Savage Nation.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Eve?
Fine. I have a question for you. Well, I have a question and 2 points. Michael made it interesting. He was talking about when I grew up in America, and I had 2 things to add to his list, because I'm also of the old school. One thing is that when we grew up in America, we had only 3 networks, if you remember that.
That's right. ABC, NBC, CBS.
I mentioned, NBC, CBS, and ABC. We didn't have all of the choices the kids have nowadays. The other thing that we had that they're not encouraging now is that we taught our blind children how to be literate. We taught them how to read and write Braille and use the necessary implements to build their skills so that they could be self-reliant. And one of the things that I'm concerned about with this Obama thing, and I do believe that this whole thing with Michael Savage is an anti-Semitic thing. I didn't know he was Jewish until you just informed me of it, which doesn't matter. He is still a human being. He is telling the truth. He reminds me of, I think there's somewhere in history there was a story, it was called The Right to Print the Truth. I think his name was John Peters Zenga, I believe it was back in history. And he was imprisoned because he printed something that people didn't want to hear. And this is the same kind of thing that is happening now. Michael is telling it like it is, and people are having a problem with it.
They are afraid of the truth, Eve.
They are afraid of the truth. And my question for you is this. Okay, I happen to be totally blind, and I have some other health issues. My husband is legally blind, and he just had bypass surgery a year ago. So, quadruple bypass. He's not willing to give up yet. He's a fighter. He's been through a stroke. He's been through heart surgery. He's been through a lot in his life, and he's hearing impaired. 11 eye surgeries. But he's not giving up, and neither am I. And my question is, if this health care thing happens, and you were just talking about the socialized medicine thing, you do have to wait a long time, and especially if you've got, like you were talking about your mother, and I'm sorry to hear that is going on. Why did my husband go through all of this? Is it for naught? If Obama's health care thing goes through, then he's going to be right at the top of that death list. Oh, well, geez, he's got so many issues. He's not a useful member of society. We're just going to...
You nailed it. No, you nailed it, Eve. Look, ultimately, what nationalized medicine does is it leads to rationing. There's no other way. You can't add 40, 45, 47 million people onto the rolls of coverage and have that happen with the same amount of doctors and nurses. And if you do, it's going to lead to rationing. Now, they all say, oh, but if you go to Europe, if you go to Canada, costs are under control. Well, sure, costs are under control because everything is rationed. And as they did with my mother, and as they did with my grandmother, and as I saw it again and again with my mother-in-law, if you're elderly, if you're weak, if you're considered unproductive in society, they don't give a damn about you. And so this is the great lie of liberalism. This is, if you want to know, there's a lot of lies, but the mother of all lies is they never care about the weak and disadvantaged. They care about power, and they care about maximizing and amassing power. And this is what this health care bill is fundamentally about. They don't care about those that are uninsured, because if they did, there are reasonable policies that can be passed, free market-oriented policies that can guarantee people affordable, portable coverage. But what they want is this. They want you addicted to government. If you're addicted to government, then they can control you. And once they control you, then you vote for them. And when you vote for them, that keeps them in power permanently. So unfortunately, what's going to happen is you are a casualty of the socialist revolution. Socialists have been doing this for generations. People have to be killed for them to get their power. And if that means unborn children, too bad. If it means people like you who have disabilities or elderly under a ration system, too bad. That's the nature of socialism. It is evil, and that's why it has to be stopped. This is Jeff Kuhner from the Washington Times, sitting in for the living legend, Michael Savage, on the Savage Nation. Savage.
I'm Kim Commando. You can keep up with all things digital Monday through Friday in the noon hour with My Digital Minute on Talk 910 KNEW.
This is Jeff Kuhner from the Washington Times, sitting in for the living legend, Michael Savage, here in the studios at the Heritage Foundation. I encourage all of you to go out to Heritage's website. They have a very, very good website on a lot of issues. And, of course, I also encourage all of you to go to michaelsavage.com. There is just some absolutely superb stories you need to read. Let's quickly go to Leland in Louisiana. Leland, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Thank you, sir. I think I've got a notion of what it is that's going on with why the Brits have blacklisted Dr. Savage. That comes from a number of times traveling and studying in Europe. And I really think it has to do with the really schizoid relationship of Europeans to Muslims. And what I mean by that is that if you're in Europe, everyone likes to make this idea that how they're all so much more equal and tolerant than Americans are. And the French especially have that notion of égalité, right? They're all equal and everyone gets treated the same and everything's taken care of. And so don't you dare say anything publicly that can possibly be taken or construed to be against Muslims. But then, at the exact same moment that they do that and are hypersensitive to anything that would be seen as against Muslims, they don't assimilate them. They don't welcome them into their culture. They don't make them a part of their society. I would defy anyone in Paris, especially, across the continent, in Paris or Amsterdam, but even in the British Isles, to walk into a mosque and find a majority or even a plurality of people that if you asked them, who they were and where they were from, would respond that their nationality was that nation. Whereas, go to Dearborn, Michigan, or other places with significant Muslim populations.
No, you're right, Leland. They're Americans first, and America does a much better job of integrating its Muslim populations. You make an excellent point. Look, I've been to London, I've been to Vienna, I've been to Austria, I've been to Paris on numerous occasions. They believe that they are Muslims first. And they have a very hard time assimilating into French society and French culture. They feel profoundly alienated. Frankly, they are seething. Look, there is an intifada in parts of Paris. There are some areas the French police have told me they will not go into those areas. They burn cars, they loot, they destroy property, they target French authority, they target French police. It is becoming in many ways like the West Bank and Gaza. And the Europeans have a real mess on their hands. And this is the problem. Liberal multiculturalism cannot deal with Islamic radicalism. This is the fundamental flaw of liberal multiculturalism. It doesn't know how to deal with it. And so now it is trying to look for scapegoats like Savage. But Islamic fascism is going to continue to grow until we speak up. This is Jeff Kuhner, sitting in for the living legend Michael Savage on the Savage Nation. Thanks for listening. And Michael, thanks once again for having me on. God bless you, and God bless all of you.
Savage. Michael Savage. Afternoons 3 to 7 on Talk 910 KNEW and online at 910KNEW.com.